Long before England had kings, long before castles rose from stone, long before history books tried to explain the past, this land was already ancient, quiet, mysterious, and deeply layered. If you could walk backward through time, slowly and gently, the way history prefers to be remembered, you would discover that England was never empty, it was never silent, and it was never simple. Before written words, before ink touched parchment, people lived here, dreamed here, feared here, and buried their secrets deep within the earth. Tonight, we walk calmly into that forgotten world. Thousands of years ago, England looked very different. Wide forests stretched endlessly. Rivers flowed freely, untouched by stone bridges. Mist settled gently over valleys at dawn. There were no cities, no roads, no borders, only land and people who understood it. These early inhabitants did not leave behind books or official records. They left something quieter, something more patient. They left marks in the soil, shapes in stone, patterns aligned with the sky. One of the oldest secrets of England lies in its stones. Across the countryside, massive stone circles rise from the ground. Stonehenge is the most famous, but it is far from alone. Hundreds of stone structures exist, many hidden in fields, forests, and hills. Who built them? History books offer theories, calendars, ceremonial sites, places of worship, but no one truly knows. These stones were placed with incredible precision. Some align perfectly with the solstices, others seem to map the stars. They were raised without metal tools, without wheels, without written plans. And yet they stand for thousands of years. Beneath these stones, archaeologists have discovered something unsettling: burials. Carefully arranged skeletons, grave goods placed with intention, bodies positioned to face the sun or the stars. This suggests belief, ritual, a complex understanding of life and death. Long before churches, long before crosses, long before written religion, England already had faith. But not all secrets remain above ground. Beneath modern England lie entire lost landscapes, villages swallowed by time, settlements buried by floods, homes erased by rising seas. One of the most haunting discoveries is Doggerland. Thousands of years ago, England was not an island. It was connected to mainland Europe by a vast landmass now hidden beneath the North Sea. People hunted there, they lived there, they raised families there. Then the waters rose, slowly, relentlessly. Doggerland disappeared beneath the waves, taking its people, stories, and history with it. No books recorded their lives, only tools, bones, and fragments remain. England's history did not begin on dry land alone. It began beneath the sea. As centuries passed, new groups arrived. Celts, tribes whose names are barely remembered, communities with deep spiritual traditions. They did not build empires, they built memory. Their knowledge passed through song, through oral storytelling, through ritual and repetition. But oral history is fragile. When one voice is silenced, an entire chapter can disappear. Then came the Romans. History books speak loudly about them. Roman Britain, Roman roads, Roman walls. But what is often forgotten is what came before them. When the Romans arrived, England was not primitive. It was organized, it was lived in, it was culturally rich.
The Romans built cities on top of existing settlements. They paved over sacred ground. They rewrote the landscape. And in doing so, they buried earlier histories beneath stone and concrete. Literally. Modern London stands atop layers of forgotten Londoniums. Beneath roads and buildings lie Celtic villages, ritual sites, and burial grounds. England's past is stacked like pages, pressed tightly together, unread. Not all erasure was accidental. Some histories were intentionally removed. When Christianity spread across England, old beliefs were labeled pagan, sacred groves were destroyed, stone circles were ignored or dismantled, stories were discouraged, then forbidden. New faith replaced old memory, and slowly the past faded. But not completely. Every so often, England remembers. A farmer plows a field and uncovers bones. A construction project reveals an ancient grave. A riverbank erodes and exposes wooden structures older than history books. Each discovery whispers the same message. You were not the first, and you will not be the last. As we reach the end of Part 1, imagine standing on a quiet English hillside at dusk. The wind moves softly through tall grass. The land feels calm, but heavy with memory. Beneath your feet lie thousands of years of untold stories, not gone, not erased, just waiting.
As the night grows quieter and the world slows down, we continue gently, deeper into England's forgotten past. A past that does not shout, a past that does not demand attention, a past that waits patiently beneath the surface. Long before written kings lists, before official dates and timelines, England was shaped by leaders whose names are lost. They were not crowned in stone halls. They ruled through memory, tradition, and belief. Tribal leaders, spiritual guides, elders whose authority came not from force, but from knowledge of the land. Their power was quiet, and when quiet power fades, history often ignores it. Across England, ancient hilltops rise gently from the land. To the untrained eye, they are simply hills, but many hide something more. Hill forts, circular earthworks carved carefully into the landscape. Not all were built for war. Some were places of gathering. Some were ceremonial. Some were sacred. They were centers of life long before castles existed. And yet, most history books pass over them in silence. Beneath some hill forts, archaeologists have uncovered signs of ritual. Fire pits, animal remains placed deliberately, objects buried not as trash, but as offerings. These were not primitive acts. They were thoughtful, symbolic. England's earliest cultures understood cycles, seasons, birth and death, light and darkness. Their world was connected to the sky, the soil, and each other. But as new powers arrived, these connections weakened. The Romans documented what suited them. They recorded roads, taxes, conquests. They rarely recorded beliefs. What could not be controlled was not preserved. When the Romans left, another silence followed. This silence is known as the Dark Ages, a misleading name. The period was not dark because nothing happened. It was dark because little was written down. England did not stop existing. People did not disappear. Life continued quietly. Villages grew. Trade survived. Stories passed by word of mouth. But history prefers ink.
and so voices without ink were forgotten. Later, when monasteries began recording England's past, they did so through a narrow lens. Christian monks wrote history with purpose. They preserved what aligned with faith. They ignored what did not. Old gods were dismissed. Old rituals were condemned. Old stories were rewritten or erased. Sacred sites were repurposed. Churches were built on ancient ritual grounds. Holy wells were renamed. Festivals were reshaped. The past was not destroyed, it was covered, layer by layer. Even today, England's churches often stand on sites far older than Christianity itself. Stone circles beneath foundations, burials beneath altars, sacred ground reused again and again. Not coincidence, continuity. Then there are the lost cities, not legendary cities of gold, but real towns that vanished. Some were abandoned after plagues. Some were swallowed by rivers. Some were destroyed by changing coastlines. Along England's eastern coast lie the remains of sunken villages, church towers beneath waves, streets now walked only by fish. These communities had names, lives, stories, but no surviving books. England's land remembers what paper forgot. Soil preserves footprints. Wood preserves marks of tools. Bones preserve posture and ritual. Every excavation is a quiet conversation with the past. And often, what is uncovered does not fit neatly into textbooks. Why? Because history is not just about what happened, it is about what survived. And survival is selective. Powerful voices last longer. Quiet ones fade faster. Even now, much of England's ancient past remains untouched, not because it does not exist, but because disturbing it feels wrong. Some sites are left undisturbed out of respect. Others remain hidden beneath cities, roads, and homes. London itself is built upon layers of forgotten worlds. Roman London, Celtic London, prehistoric London, all beneath modern streets, all unseen. Perhaps the greatest secret of England's forgotten history is not what was erased, but what endured. Despite centuries of change, traces remain. In place names, in seasonal festivals, in folklore whispered to children, in the quiet feeling that some places carry, a weight older than memory. As you rest now, imagine England before history books. No dates, no timelines, only land and people living gently within it. Fires glowing softly at night, stories told slowly, stars watched carefully. Nothing rushed, nothing written. And yet, everything mattered. The secrets time tried to erase were never truly lost. They were simply buried, waiting patiently, like the land itself. As the story fades, let your thoughts slow. The ancient past does not need to be understood tonight. It only needs to be remembered, quietly.